In today's interview, you're going to meet Erik Steenken with Sompo International, and
Hey
also
guys.
partner Addison from IBTX, VP of Surety. Hey guys, first of all, we did it. We're all three online, despite
It's a miracle.
it really is.
So
What I love about this is we're really going to share some great information today about surety, about the marketplace today. I know, Drew, that your expertise is surety. As you know, I depend on you greatly for this. And Erik, the idea that our clients and the people that we work with can actually hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, about it's not a doomsday deal right now, right?
Right. Did you just call me a horse? Because no, everything's good. Uncertain times, but no need to panic just yet. How about that?
Beautiful. All right, well, let's kick this thing off. I feel like whatever we can do today to kind of just talk about what's going on right now in the industry, what we're seeing, what the challenges are, and more importantly, Erik, if you could kind of share with us what is going on at Sompo International. What do you see right now in today's marketplace?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Warren. And Drew, it's always good seeing you, man. Like I said, my name is Erik Steenken. I am a vice president of contract surety underwriting with Sompo International. I'm based in Dallas, Texas. I work in several states, mostly in the Southwest United States. Basically, what we've seen is, the last month, it's just caused a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. The benefit is contractors and construction is considered essential. So a lot of contractors that we work with are moving forward without delays. Questions of what exactly is going on and what the future is. So happy to talk about it. I'm also curious to hear what your insights and thoughts and what you've seen of what's going on and what you think will take place. That'll be key. So
absolutely, and Warren, thank you as well. I've had the pleasure of working with Erik for quite a few years now, and kind of see him make his moves in his career throughout this time, and there's no doubt that we're going through something pretty interesting in the surety market specifically, not just worldwide economically, but taking a little bit deeper dive, which is kind of the focus of this conversation, into what the surety market is looking like. I would love to be able to put together a presentation for myself, but in my opinion, it's best to get an underwriter to also help explain what they're looking at. And really, there's no one better that I could have thought of than Erik to get involved with this. Having our work experience over the years, having many clients with Erik, and seeing his underwriting style. I know that we're in for a real treat on kind of explaining what the underwriters are looking at, what we're looking at as agents, and in ways that we can help the general contractors and subcontractors that are out there to help prepare for any sort of a downturn or hardening of the market. Who is Sompo International? Sompo is not a name that you hear quite often until really, at least from a contract surety standpoint, until really you got involved, at least in the Texas region. But then also, if you can kind of elaborate a little bit more on what your role is as far as
sure.
and everything else.
Yeah, so I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin, and since then I've been an underwriter for 13 and a half years. 11 of those years have been in the surety industry, and I actually started in San Antonio, Texas with CNA Surety back in 2009. And that is when the recession, the 2007 to 2009 recession, really was coming to an end for contractors. It didn't really feel that way, and for a surety underwriter to first embrace that time period, it allowed me to see a lot of things that you typically wouldn't see, especially within like the last 5 years. So as for Sompo International, we are a top 10 surety. We're actually a global company, global insurance company. We are based, most of our insurance products are based in New York City and Manhattan. Our surety division is based in Nashville, Tennessee. And from a surety market point, we target contract surety. We also target commercial surety. We work with environmental contractors. We work with oil and gas clients and waste clients. So, if there's a surety bond need, we're a market that will evaluate it. So I joined Sompo a year ago as vice president of the Southwestern United States. My goal is to really assist our agents with their book of business. My background is mostly construction contract surety, but as I just said, if it entails other types of surety, I can assist in that area as well. So basically what I've seen so far in like the last month is, Goldman Sachs has come out and said that we're in a recession, global recession. Morgan Stanley has come out and said that we're in a global recession. And anytime recession is mentioned, I go back to my early days of underwriting from 2009 to 2011. And something that I learned back then is that the construction industry really has a 12-month to 24-month delay in being impacted from a recession. And so the benefit is, if there is a benefit of recession, is there's some time for contractors and sureties and agents and bankers and CPAs to really prepare for maybe a downturn in construction. The downside is typically with recessions, there's less capital in the marketplace, and there's going to be more competition for the projects that are let in the marketplace. So really, we're just, because it's so new, we're just kind of in a wait and see standpoint to see how owners are going to respond, how private investment's going to respond. And then just really talking and listening to our agents and our clients to see how we can assist with their book of business.
So for these construction companies, whether they're in oil and gas or just general commercial buildings or whatnot, is there does Sompo have a certain appetite that really fits like a certain type of prospect or client?
Yeah, I mean, I consider us as kind of a one-stop shop. I mean, if we support them all, we support oil and gas, waste, environmental, contract, commercial surety. I think it all depends on the underwriter. In recent years, I've marketed for startups. From 2013 to 2020, you saw a lot of people leaving their employers to start their own firms just because there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of jobs in the marketplace so that they could. That was just my preference. I liked working with startups. But on a holistic picture, if you're in business and you're working with our agent, the agent wants us to take a look, I mean, we're going to take a look. We're happy to evaluate and give our opinion. And if we can offer our support, we will. I will say there's three events going on currently. There's the pandemic, there's the oil and gas price war, and then obviously there's the presidential election that's coming in November. And all three of those things provide some sort of uncertainty in the marketplace. So really what we're looking for from our contractors is just kind of a strategic business standpoint. Doesn't make sense. I think a surety underwriter's number one job is to evaluate the risk, and if I write this bond, could it cause my company a loss? And from my perspective, you're really evaluating whether the contractor or the account that you're reviewing, if they're going to go out of business in 12 months. If you believe that they're going to stay within business over the next 12 months, it's a realistic shot that you can support them. If you have concerns that they could go out of business while your bond is still active, it's a point of communication. You try to say, look, these are my concerns. Your cash flow is poor. You don't have any work, and you're asking me to support a certain amount of bonds. That's just a big risk for my company. So I think from a strategic standpoint, we're just looking at, whether the company's business model and business strategy makes sense. I mean, I just remember from the 2009 recession, several companies ventured into new territory. Some ventured into new scopes of work that they had never done before, and that cost them. And sometimes when you're trying to find solutions and answers to a downturn in the marketplace, you actually take on more risk than what you know. So my biggest recommendation is just to stick with what you know, and try to find ways with what you know to get through the time.
We're talking about private work, and we're talking about public work. The work on hand is obviously extremely important when we're analyzing the balance sheet and the income statement. It is what it is. But how would you differentiate your style of underwriting as to others in the industry?
Yeah. First is customer service. I try to be responsive as timely as I can. Agents need to provide their clients answers. Clients need to know if they can go after a job or not. Second, I try to look to the future, and works in progress. I would say works in progress schedules are the most important piece, in my opinion, of evaluating a contractor for work. I mean, obviously, we're going to compare their WIPs, their balance sheet, and prior WIPs to make sure that the numbers all add up. But contractor's got to have work in order to make money, and if he's got a healthy backlog and he can show that moving forward, he's at least going to cover his costs, or a majority of his costs, or maybe he's making even money moving forward. That goes a long way. I also try to give people the benefit of the doubt, if I can. I think contractors know their business better than anybody, and I'm not even going to come close to knowing their business like they do. And so, I try to evaluate on a grand scale, kind of overall picture. Does this guy know what he's doing? And do I trust him? And if the answer is yes, then I'm at least going to make an offer. Whether he accepts it or not, I'll try to give him my best. So that's kind of what I look for. And then Sompo in general, I mean, we do so many different types of surety, oil and gas, commercial, underwriting, contract, commercial, sorry, I probably said that a few times, waste. I can facilitate several different types of bond requests or contractors. So that's another way. That's a little bit different. A lot of times you'll just work with a commercial underwriter or a contract underwriter. I can evaluate various different types of businesses.
Okay, great. And so, I mean, that really wraps up all the questions that I had for Erik. I mean, really, again, the concept of this is, I want to, it's good to kind of bridge that gap of communication rather than, having our contractors or contractors that may be interested in working with IBTX to remove that that shadow of like, who's this mysterious underwriter that is approving all my bonds? Well,
the guy with the 80s hair that's right.
So, I mean, what's important here, and the concept of this to me is like, we want to show the construction market, hey, we're all wanting to get together and work as a team to help everybody get through this. And there are creative solutions to get by. Obviously, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean that we're not going to answer the phone call ever again. The idea is to help you develop and get you to where you need to be. So, Warren, I think I'm going to start with you on this. The final call to action for this, being the surety layman here, what are the takeaways from this, you think?
I mean, number one, I would say, I think the information I just heard is pretty positive, which is that right now it's not like the sky is falling. People have runway, right? And you got to be strategic. And you need to really deeply consider what are your options and what are you doing as far as mitigating or reducing your exposure to the financial, stressors that come with kind of having the world shut down. We've all hit a wall. So that was kind of the one thing that I found really benefited me. And I know a lot of my clients will enjoy hearing that. And I think it's helpful. But more importantly than that, it almost sounds like it would actually be a good idea to work with you guys and just take a look, right? It almost sounds like, if you really want to look at the next 18 to 24 months, even if you've had a long relationship with somebody, a carrier doing your bonds, there's actually a good strategy in having an ulterior or alternative option in the case that you see any reductions from the financial strife that some of these carriers may or may not experience, and kind of in front of that. How is that answer?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
That was good. Well, thank you.
So Erik, switching over to you, what should contractors take away from what we discussed today, you think?
Yeah, communicate. Seek counsel. You've got business partners, bankers, CPAs, attorneys, insurance agents, and then sureties that are willing to give you insight into what they're seeing just across the board. And so, it's just an unusual time. The amount of information you can gather and the amount of information you can communicate, I think, is only beneficial. So that would be my only call to action. I wouldn't jump the gun on anything. I would just kind of take it all in and see what's going on, and then have a prepared plan just in due time if you do find that the economy is actually on a significant downturn.
Yeah, I like that, and I really want to reiterate the important side of communication and open those lines of communication and preparing. And I mean, so someone brought it up to me not too long ago. I was putting together that article a couple weeks ago. How often do we not see business plans from contractors? We do see them. But it would be the importance of updating that annually and working through that. You can have a clear direction that you want to take your company, and you have a lot of tools to your disposal. While you may not, you either know it or you don't. Through your surety agent and your underwriters and your bankers and your CPAs, you got to utilize those tools and that network that you have built to help you with that, and because all of them working together is only going to increase your odds of success. The couple other pieces of notes that I put in here, Erik, did mention that, especially through a time of uncertainty, sticking with what you know is extremely important. Right now, if you're a site work contractor, right now is not the time to go to finish outs. Stick with what you're good at. It's easy to forecast. What future work looks like and what your financials look like. And it helps you wrap your head around the planning that it's going to take to push through a bit of a downturn. And finally, the necessity to be proactive versus reactive in the situation. I think historically, and Erik may agree with me here, contractors are typically a little bit more proactive than reactive when it comes to tough situations. The more time that you can put into it now to put together your game plan and your business plan to move through this, the better it's going to be. And the ones that do take the time now, that are getting after it right now rather than waiting, are the ones that reap the reward at the end of it. Because there is with these tough times, there is a lot of room for opportunity, and you have to be prepared in order to have access to that opportunity. And we definitely want to be that conduit to help you. Erik, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this. This has been great.
It's just good to see your face. It's been too long.
Well, you're probably the only person that said that yet. So.
Well, thank you guys. What I'm going to do is I'll make sure that in the show notes we put all of the contact information for Sompo International and you, Erik. Sure. And of course, if there's any additional stuff you want us to add, we'll do that too.
Great.
Great.
All right.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Thank you.